Hello everyone. Today I will continue sharing with you the love story of Officer Lee and the girl Tu Sam. I hope you enjoy watching the video. After the wedding, Tu Sam's life shifted into a new rhythm, gentler, warmer, and filled with very real happiness. Gone were the days of constant caution or forcing herself to be strong. Every morning she woke up to find Lee there, quietly making her a cup of tea, adjusting the scarf on her shoulders, or simply smiling when he saw her still half asleep. To Tu Sam, those small moments were the most complete form of happiness. Lee was never one to speak much about love. He showed it through steady companionship, walking with her through the morning market, arranging their new home together, sitting beside her as she shared dreams that seemed simple but deeply meaningful. A warm kitchen corner, a few flower pots by the porch, and dinners filled with laughter. By his side, Tu Sam never had to prove anything. She could be herself, fragile yet strong. Her joy multiplied with the presence of Oanh, Lee's older sister, who stepped into this new life with rare gentleness. Oanh never treated her as merely a sister-in-law, but as a true younger sister. She taught Tu Sam how to cook Lee's favorite dishes, shared stories from Lee's childhood, and always stood by her in the smallest yet most real matters. On some afternoons, the two sisters would sit by the window, peeling fruit and chatting, their laughter spreading softly like sunlight. As each day passed, Tu Sam realized she was living a new life, quiet, unshowy yet full. Happiness did not come from grand promises, but from being loved the right way, from being surrounded by sincere hearts. In that peaceful moment, Tu Sam understood. The most precious thing she had gained was a home where she could be at ease being herself, with Lee always by her side, and a family ready to protect and embrace her. That afternoon, Oanh called Lee and Tu Sam, her voice brighter than usual. She asked them to come home for dinner, saying she had good news to share, and something private to discuss with both of them. Just that short sentence was enough to make Tu Sam's heart flutter, while Lee smiled and promised to come home early. After work, Lee drove to pick up Tu Sam. The familiar road felt lighter somehow, the cool evening breeze flowing through the window. Sitting beside him, Tu Sam intertwined her fingers with his, chatting about little things from the day. Lee listened quietly, nodding from time to time, his eyes gentle and calm, a peace that only appeared when he was with her. When they arrived, the scent of food drifted from the kitchen. Oanh was busy preparing dinner, her hands moving quickly, her figure bustling yet joyful. Without waiting to be asked, Tu Sam rolled up her sleeves and went in to help. Oanh looked at her with warm approval and smiled. Perfect timing. I need someone to taste this. The two women quickly fell into rhythm. Tu Sam washed and prepared vegetables. Oanh stood at the stove cooking while giving instructions. Soft conversations, occasional laughter, simple yet comforting. Oanh talked about work and future plans. Tu Sam listened, added a few words, sometimes just nodded gently. Their closeness came naturally without effort. From the living room, Lee watched the kitchen. Before him were the two women he loved most, his sister and his wife, getting along as if they had known each other forever. In that moment, his heart softened. It wasn't loud joy but a quiet, solid happiness, knowing the woman he loved was cherished and protected in a warm home. Dinner had yet to begin, and the good news Oanh intended to share remained unspoken. But this scene alone, the smell of rice cooking, laughter from the kitchen, peaceful gazes under the porch light, was already a blessing. And Lee understood that no matter what the news was, happiness was already complete for him and Tu Sam. Dinner ended in a gentle atmosphere. The table was cleared, and the room settled after lively conversation. Tu Sam brewed a pot of hot tea and placed it on the table, thin steam spreading through the space. The three of them sat together under warm yellow light, enjoying a slow, peaceful evening. At that moment, Oanh stood up calmly. Wait for me a moment. She went into her room and returned with a carefully wrapped booklet and a small suitcase. She placed both neatly on the table and sat down opposite them. This booklet is the ownership certificate of a house, she said plainly. I bought it long ago and set it aside for Lee. Today, I'm giving it to both of you as a wedding gift. She paused briefly, then placed her hand on the suitcase. And this is my savings. I've been putting it aside for many years. I want you two to use it as capital for your life after marriage. Life ahead will need many things. Having something prepared will make it easier. Her voice remained steady, each word firm. I only have one younger brother, Lee. Ever since he was little, I've always thought I should take care of him. Now that he's married, I want to prepare everything well so the two of you can live with peace of mind. She finished speaking and said no more, neither explaining nor urging. The booklet and the suitcase lay quietly on the tea table under warm light, like something planned long ago. The room fell silent. Lee reacted first. He looked at the house certificate, then at the suitcase, as if still trying to grasp what was before him. After a moment, he exhaled softly, his voice dropping. Sis, this is too much. He looked up at Own, eyes filled with surprise and awkwardness. After years of standing on his own, Lee had grown used to not relying on anyone. This gift wasn't just material. It was the result of long, silent preparation he never expected. Sam sat beside him, hands resting on her knees, posture straight but visibly tense. She stared at the booklet for a long time before looking away. A confusing emotion rose in her chest. To her, this gift was far too great. More than she ever imagined she could receive, especially as someone newly entering this family. She began, then stopped. Her throat went dry. Lowering her head, she spoke softly. I truly don't dare to accept this. I'm afraid I haven't done enough to deserve what you've prepared. Lee turned to look at his wife. He saw the uncertainty in her eyes, not greed, but the hesitation of someone who had always walked on her own, now facing overwhelming protection. He placed his hand over hers, a gentle yet firm touch. Then he turned back to Own and spoke slowly. You've already done so much for us. Sam and I married because we want to build our life together. These things, we're afraid they'll cost you too much. Own looked at them quietly, not rushing to respond. Her gaze softened yet remained calm. She understood their surprise, because what she was giving wasn't just property or money, but trust and family love she had long reserved for her brother, and for the woman she believed in. In the small room, beneath the yellow light and beside the tea that had grown warm, silence lingered. Not heavy, but full of unspoken emotion. In that moment, Lee and Sam understood they were standing before a heart so vast that it stirred both gratitude and the resolve to live kindly, to be worthy of it. After a few more seconds, Lee took a deep breath. He lowered his head, then looked up again, his voice slow and clear, as if after long consideration. You've thought so much for us. If we keep refusing, it would mean we don't value your love. He turned to Sam. Just one look, no words needed. She understood and nodded slightly, her eyes already red. Thank you, Sam said, her voice trembling but sincere. Not for the house or the money, but for accepting me as family. Lee stood up first and stepped toward Own, embracing her, the hug of a grown man carrying gratitude and love. Thank you, he said softly. I won't let what you've given be meaningless. Sam stood up as well. After a brief hesitation, she stepped forward and hugged Own from the other side. Her arms weren't tight, but they were real. I promise to live kindly with Lee, she whispered, to be worthy of everything you've given us. Own froze for a brief moment, then wrapped her arms around both of them. She gently patted Sam's back, her voice softening. That's enough. I don't need anything more. The three of them stood there in the living room, warm light resting on their shoulders, the booklet and suitcase still lying quietly on the table. No one spoke, yet in that embrace, everything that needed to be said had already been given, not through material things, but through the bond of a true family. Lee stepped out onto the balcony to take a work call. The door closed just enough to block the sound of his conversation, yet not enough to take away the warmth of the house. In the kitchen, Owen invited Sam to help wash the dishes. The water ran steadily, the soft clinking of plates forming a slow rhythm, gentle enough to make it easy for one to open their heart. Owen spoke first. "Actually, I bought that house a long time ago," she said calmly, as if telling a story she had thought through many times. Back when Lee had just started his career, his salary wasn't high, and he was always leaving early and coming home late. "I thought no matter what, I should have a place ready for him to come back to." Sam listened, her hands continuing to wash the dishes. "Lee has never talked much since he was little," Owen continued. "He's used to carrying things on his own. There were times he was exhausted, but he never complained. I only have one younger brother, so whatever I could prepare for him, I wanted to do it in advance." She paused briefly, then turned to look at Sam. "And you? I trust you. Not because you're gentle or good at enduring hardship, but because I see that you live with clarity and always think of others. Lee needs someone like that by his side." Sam nodded softly. She didn't speak right away, but something inside her had been touched. Not loudly, just slowly warming. "Thank you," she said, then instinctively added a word that came out naturally. "Sister." That single word landed lightly, yet it was enough to make Owen smile. She dried her hands and gently patted Sam's shoulder. "That's enough." Out on the balcony, Lee ended his call. The night was quiet, the breeze cool. He leaned against the railing, thinking back on the years when it was just the two of them. Hurried meals, nights when Owen waited up for him until late. Thinking of today, his heart softened. When he came back inside, Lee sat beside Sam. He spoke slowly, his voice low but steady. "I married you, but Owen is also part of our family." Sam looked at him and nodded. No more words were needed. That night, each of them carried a quiet promise of their own, to live more kindly, more firmly, so as not to fail the love that had been given so sincerely. On the way home, the city lights were already glowing. The car moved slowly. Neither of them spoke much. Lee focused on driving while Sam leaned back, watching the streaks of light slide past the window. The warmth from dinner still lingered in her. A strange kind of happiness, quiet but enduring. When they arrived home, Lee turned on the living room light. The soft yellow glow spread across the floor, making the small space feel more familiar than ever. He set his keys on the table and poured 2 glasses of water. Sam sat down on the sofa, hugging a small pillow, as if only now truly allowing herself to relax. "Are you tired?" Lee asked, his voice low and unhurried. Sam shook her head. "No. It's just that today carried so many emotions." Lee sat down beside her. Not too close, but close enough for her to feel his familiar warmth. After a moment, Sam spoke softly, almost as if to herself. "Sometimes I think if I hadn't met you, I'd probably still be managing on my own. I would survive, but I wouldn't feel this peaceful." She turned to look at him. Her eyes weren't filled with tears, only quiet gratitude. "Because of you, I have the happiness and life I do now. Not because of the house or the money, but because I'm no longer afraid of facing tomorrow alone." Lee remained silent. He reached out and held her hand, warm and steady. "I haven't given you anything big," he said. "I'm just here." "That's already enough," Sam replied. She rested her head lightly against his shoulder. "Having someone beside me, to listen, to think, to endure together, that's happiness to me." Outside, the night passed slowly. In the small room, the two of them sat together, needing no more words. Everything important seemed to have already been said, through presence, through a shared handhold, and through the rare sense of security Sam now knew. From this moment on, she would no longer walk alone. After a while, Sam sat up straight and pulled the small table closer. On it were only the 2 glasses of water, and the thin notebook she used for random notes. The atmosphere was no longer heavy with emotion, but had shifted into a calm, deliberate quiet, as if both of them were ready to think further ahead. Lee, Sam began gently but clearly, I don't want to use the money Own gave us right away. I want us to have a plan first. Lee nodded. I feel the same. That money is support, not something to rely on in a rush. Sam picked up a pen, thought for a moment, then wrote a few short lines. For now, let's live simply like we do now. Spend just enough. If we do anything more, I want to start with something I'm familiar with. She looked up at him. Something small. It's okay if it's slow. Lee leaned in to look at the unfinished notes. I support that. I can arrange my time better, cut down on overtime. Life isn't only about work. They talked for a long time, not about big numbers but about concrete things, how much to save each month, setting aside money for further learning, keeping a separate fund for family. Every idea was listened to. No one imposed their will on the other. When small disagreements arose, they paused, thought it through, then smiled, as if understanding that the future didn't need to be perfect, only shared. In the end, Sam closed the notebook. I don't need everything to happen quickly, she said. I just need each day to have direction, and someone walking forward with me. Lee took her hand. Then we'll go slowly, he said. But we'll go together. Outside, the city was still bright. Inside the small room, plans for the future took shape not through grand ambitions, but through simple agreement. And for Sam, that was what brought her the greatest peace of all. The future was no longer uncertain, because she knew she would never walk it alone. The day they moved into the new house was simple, exactly as Sam and Lee had wanted. No banners, no housewarming party, no loud congratulations. Just a few boxes neatly packed in the trunk of the car, several small potted plants Sam carefully held against her chest, and a pale afternoon sun stretching gently along a quiet road. Lee unlocked the door. It opened with a soft sound, barely audible, as if marking a beginning. The house felt emptier than they had expected. Fresh walls, floors still scented with wood. A silence so deep that even their footsteps echoed lightly. Sam stood at the doorway for a few seconds, one hand resting on the doorframe, before stepping inside. She said nothing, only looked around slowly, her gaze calm, as if acquainting herself with something vast and very real. They began unpacking. No tasks were assigned, no questions asked. Sam wiped the table, arranged the dishes on the shelf, placing each one carefully, as if afraid of startling the house. Lee hung the curtains, adjusted a slightly crooked ceiling light, switched it on and off a few times until the brightness felt right. Now and then they crossed paths in the narrow hallway, exchanged a faint smile, then returned to their work. Everything moved slowly but smoothly. When the house finally carried the warmth of people, the faint scent of freshly cleaned floors and the soft sounds of furniture settling, Sam let out a long breath, as if setting down a weight she had carried for a very long time. In the late afternoon, Own stopped by. She brought a pot of hot soup and some fruit, set them down in the kitchen, and took a slow look around. Her gaze lingered on the potted plants by the window, on the still bare table in the living room. As long as there's a kitchen with a fire going, it's enough, she said lightly, as if nothing else really mattered. That evening, the first meal in the new house was modest. Freshly cooked rice, steaming soup, and a simple savory dish made in a hurry. The three of them sat around the small table. No one mentioned the house or money. They only asked whether the food tasted okay, whether tomorrow would be busy, ordinary, close-to-life questions. The sound of spoons touching bowls felt louder than usual, yet never awkward. After dinner, Own left early. Standing at the door, she offered a brief reminder. If you're missing anything, tell me. Then she was gone, leaving the house quieter, but not empty. Night settled in slowly. On their first night in the new space, Sam couldn't quite fall asleep. Not from worry, but from unfamiliarity. She lay awake, staring at the unfamiliar ceiling, listening to the faint wind outside the window, and to Lee's steady breathing beside her. After a while, she gently sat up and stepped into the living room. The soft yellow night light spread across the still empty space, warm rather than cold. Sam stood in the middle of the room and reached out to touch the smooth, cool wall. The sensation made her heart tremble slightly. For the first time in her life, a thought surfaced clearly, without haste, without hesitation. This is my home. Lee appeared behind her at some point. He didn't ask or speak. He simply stood beside her, close enough for her to feel his familiar warmth. Sam turned and rested her head against his chest, her voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid to break the moment. I never thought I'd have a place to call home like this. Lee wrapped his arms around her, slow and steady. You'll get used to it, he said. We'll make it familiar. Sam nodded softly. She closed her eyes, letting the sense of safety spread through her. In that moment, the house didn't need to be fully furnished, didn't need warm decorations yet. With a soft yellow light, a simple meal, and one person standing beside her, for her, that was already a complete beginning to a new life.
Hello mọi người, cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới vui vẻ, hạnh phúc và một ngày làm việc tràn đầy năng lượng. Và video hôm nay mình chia sẻ về câu chuyện của tự Sam và cảnh sát Lee. Thì sau khi cưới, hai người đã được Oanh trao cho số tài sản lớn, và tự Sam và Lee đều bất ngờ với món quà mà Oanh trao. Và từ số tiền lớn này thì tự Sam bắt đầu lên kế hoạch cho cuộc sống mới. Liệu cuộc sống mới của tự Sam và cảnh sát Lee sẽ như thế nào thì mời mọi người cùng đón xem ở những video tiếp theo. Và nhớ ủng hộ kênh cho mình, nhớ like, share và chuông thông báo để nhận thông báo khi mình đăng video mới nhất nha. Hiện tại những video của mình đang được phát hành vào khung giờ 7 giờ tối và 7 giờ sáng. Nếu mà mọi người yêu thích thì nhớ chú ý đón xem. Và hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở video tiếp theo nhé.